with another tutorial, and the tutorial today is going to be on needles, and here's what a needle looks like. Now, in order to do your needles, you have to have these certain things. You must have your splits, you must be warmed up, and you must have a semi-flexible back, because this uses your back and especially your shoulders, so you don't want to hurt yourself because it's kind of hard to do. So you can see my stretching video that I did like a long time ago, but I'll show you some new stretches that I like to do, especially for my needle and back flexibility. Now here are some stretches I like to do for my needles. So you can warm up for your splits. I'm not going to do that right now because that takes like 10 minutes, but what you're going to do is you're going to go with your splits. I'm a lefty, so I do my left needles. So if you're righty, you would do your right needle, but you just go to your splits, make sure your legs are straight, feet are pointed, all that stuff. Then you would, for your back, you would try to arch as much as you can without cutting your head off. That means doing that arch as much as you can, and you just eventually cut your head off like that. And then for your shoulders, you will put one hand here. You put your, if you're doing your left, you put your left hand here, your right hand here. Your shoulders kind of twist it a little, and then in order to actually prep for your needles, this is actually harder than doing your actual needle. You would go back. If you're doing the left split, you would take your left hand. If you're doing the right split, you take your right hand. Grab it. Put your other hand on there and try to straighten as much as you can. So it'll look like this. Those were just a few of the stretches I do in order to get my needle. You can do a bunch of other stretches. You can do back bends, you can do chin stands, you can do seal stretches, you can do boats, you can do basically anything, any stretch, and it will definitely help you with your needle. So now, here is how you prepare for the actual needle. I recommend standing by something that'll help you, that will provide support, because if you're doing your needle for the first time, you definitely probably will topple over because you're putting too much weight on one foot. So you can just get something like a couch or a wall to just support you so you won't fall. But here's some things that'll help. So you're going to take, since I'm lefty, I'll take my right hand, the back of my right ankle. So side of the foot, you would feel the actual ankle bone, and then what you would do is you would just take it and extend and try to overextend as much as you possibly can. You can keep doing that, and then it'll eventually help your hips, your hip flexors, because your hip flexors are definitely using your needles, and once you stretch out those hip flexors, then you will definitely be ready to try your needles. Good news. Sometimes for some people, like including me, the hardest part about doing your needle is trying to bring the leg up because you don't know how, and then the rest of it, like pulling the leg up and straightening it, is really easy. But bringing the leg up is sometimes kind of hard. So I like two different ways out of the many ways you can do it. The first way is this requires some turnout, because your ballet technique requires some turnout. So you would stand here, trying to do your needle, you would flex the foot that's going up, so that would be my right foot. You grab your big toe with your right hand, and then you would just bring it up like that. And then you would just grab it, and then eventually point the foot. Another way I like to do it is, right hand on your right ankle. You would grab your right hand with your big toe, but instead of flexing it and grabbing it this way, so your hand would be facing the top of your foot, Your hand would be facing the bottom of your foot. And then you would just twist it. You'd grab your hand and eventually grab your foot. So that's the two ways that I like to go up into my needle. Other ways is you can just like ball hinge grab and bring it up, but that doesn't always work for me. But if it works for you, then do it. Other ways is other people like to grab it with their opposite hand and bring it up. I don't know how they do that, but that's how they like to do it. There are a bunch of ways to do your needle to bring it up, so do whatever feels comfortable to you. Now it's time to actually bring up the leg and straighten it. So let's get started. So when you bring up the leg, you straighten it. You would be here, and if you're like beginning, you could just hold this position as much as you can to like warm up your back. But if you're like experienced in needles, the tip is, the more towards your knee your hands go, the less stress on your back it will be to bring the leg up, but the more flexible you are in the shoulders, the more easy it is to get your hands down to your knees. I necessarily have really tight shoulders, so it's a little hard for me to bring my hands all the way down close to my knees, but I've been warming up my back and stretching my back so I have the back flexibility to actually straighten it up. Like everything else, it basically just depends on the dancer. So with that said, you bring it up and straighten the leg. If you are really flexible in your back, you could cut off your head and like bring your head up to watch your feet. So like that. And another tip is you don't want to be like bringing it back. You want the weight to go forward, but not so much forward that you fall on your face, but you just want the weight to go forward so your hips can stretch to their full ability and the less stress on your shoulders and back. So here it is. So that's the needle. So the number one tip is don't hurt yourself. Don't overdo it. These things kind of take time to do. So eventually you'll see improvement because that's something called practice, and practice makes permanent. And once you keep practicing these, you get really, really good at them. Practice both sides. I know that sounds a little hard to do, but it's good for you. So with that said, have fun doing your needles. One last needle.